welcome to today's conversation, Financial Literacy Mindset. I recently read an article online which stated, often we don't need a lot of new information to succeed in achieving our life goals. What we really need is the right information at the right time to take the next right step. Today's guest, Darryl Wright, who's a financial advisor and a financial literacy mindset advocate, has joined me to help us take the right next step on our pathway to achieving a financial literacy mindset for life success. Join the conversation, Financial Literacy Mindset, with guest Darryl Wright. We live in a culture that tells us the more money or the more finances we have, the better the life we have. What culture fails to teach us is that it does not equip us with the right mindset to experience true financial freedom through responsible financial stewardship. We have been purposed to properly steward what God has given us, to foster a healthy mindset towards the resources that He has provided for us to achieve His life purpose for us by design. Financial freedom, though, is intentional, and having a financial literacy mindset is also intentional. Proverbs 21:5 tells us, good planning and hard work leads to prosperity, but hasty shortcuts leads to poverty. So as we begin this conversation today, I want you to think about the quote that says, don't fear failure, fear being in the exact same place next year as you are today. So let's welcome our special guest today, Mr. Darryl Wright. Welcome, Darryl, to Life Purpose by Design.
Thank you, Sheila. Thank you for having me on Life Purpose by Design. I'm very excited to be here today. Thank you.
So you have a very extensive bio. What I really want our guests to know right today is that you are an advocate for financial literacy mindset of all the other great things that you've done in your background experiences, that your role here today is to really empower and equip us with some skill sets and some principles to help us look at financial literacy and the mindset that it takes us to succeed in some personal goals. So I want to do a quick highlights of some things that I hope that we'll kind of touch on today. One is navigating the path to achieving financial literacy. 2 is developing a financial independence mindset. 3 is to learn some keys to achieve personal financial goals for our mindset shift to support our life success journey. I also want to just say that our conversation today, I want to do a quick disclaimer, is going to be really talking about financial literacy principles. We're not offering any type of financial advisement, any type of things that would include investments or anything that you may typically think of having a conversation with a financial advisor. Darryl is going to share with you what his intent and mission is for today. And I know that you are going to be blessed as we kick off this conversation. So Darryl, can you kind of just, in your quick words, kind of tell them what they can expect for today?
Sure, Sheila. Thank you again. I want to set the tone and help develop the mindset to help people achieve their financial goals and dreams. And it's really about getting on the right path. You can learn all the tools and the techniques to doing this, but if you don't have the right mindset, if you don't have the want to, if you're not on the right path to achieving the goals, then you won't. So I consider myself a financial guide, and I want to help guide people to the right path and then equip them with the tools that they need to make their journey to their destination of financial success as quick as possible.
Great. And I want to just encourage our listening audience, whether you are here with us live or whether you're watching the replay, please feel free to give comments or ask questions. And if we don't get to your questions during the live, I will make it my business to track Darryl down and to make sure that we can provide you some additional information. So let's start with how and why did you get into the financial services career path?
All right, Sheila, that's a great question. I started my adult life, I was in the military, and I retired from the military. But in 1990, I was in Desert Storm. And there was a lot of time we were just in the tent, sitting around. And there was one day I went to the tent where the pilots were located, and I saw that they had Money Magazine, Kiplinger. They had all these different financial magazines on their bunks. So I started perusing through a few of them, and it really sparked my interest in financial literacy, because at that point in time, I knew how to make money, I knew how to spend money, and I could save a little bit, but I didn't understand how money worked and how you can invest money. I'd never up to that point even thought about investing money, but being exposed to that literature then developed a hunger in me to want to learn more. I have an expression that exposure equals expansion. And once you've been exposed to something, it expands your mind to want to do more. So by getting exposed to those magazines and that literature, like I said, developed a hunger and a drive in me to want to know more about financial services.
Okay. So what are some common mistakes or misconceptions that people have about money or finances? Because I know finances is more than money, but what are some common, I guess, mistakes and misconceptions that people have about that may affect their having a financial literacy mindset in the first place?
One of the first things is that people don't really, and I was one of those people, didn't really know what they wanted out of their financial life and never really thought about it in the aspect of where will I be 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. It was more so a week to week, month to month mindset. So there was no planning. I have a saying that people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. So a lot of us fail to plan. We fail to really grab hold of the resources that we have. And we think that we have tomorrow. I'll get to this tomorrow. I'll get to this next week. I'll get to this later. And we end up being in procrastinating. And that procrastination really holds you back, because you end up one day, you're 50 years old, you're 55 years old, and you're saying, wow, I'm almost towards the end and I don't really have anything set up. And then they get into panic mode and want to start, looking for these investments that's going to make them a ton of money. They go to Bitcoin or real estate and thinking these things are going to make them that quick buck because they hadn't put a plan in place. So the biggest misconception is just not understanding how money works and getting a head start on building your financial literacy and the resources that you need to live a great life.
So you talked about financial literacy. Give that to us in layman terms. What is financial literacy?
Financial literacy is understanding how the financial arena works, understanding things like your credit, understanding savings, understanding debt, understanding investments, understanding life insurance, understanding the products and services that are used in the financial industry to help you obtain wealth, help you to get out of debt, help to put you in a better position financially. And a lot of people, just myself included, did not understand how those different vehicles and those different things worked. So my goal is to help you understand how they apply to your life, how a good credit score is necessary for you to do certain things in your life, how saving money is important to you. My saying is, when you learn to save money, money will save you. So just being literate of how the financial system works in our country is what I call financial literacy.
Thank you so much. That made it a lot clearer for me. I'll just have a moment of transparency, because I remember I retired from working in a public health state career 4 years ago after doing 30 and a half years service. I can remember the first couple of years, when I went to HR to fill out my, onboarding process, they were throwing a lot of documents at me, and I kind of saw something that said 401k, had no idea what that was. had no knowledge of it. So I was like, I was declining all kinds of stuff that they were saying that I qualified for to participate in. But because literally at that point, no one in my entire family had ever mentioned anything to me about financial savings, savings for retirement, in terms of what their journey were, because I have a very healthy aging family line, but no one had ever said, okay, Sheila, you got your first job. Let me tell you some things to expect, these sorts of things you need to plan for. So I was just declining all sorts of stuff, 401k, all kind of stuff. The only thing I couldn't decline was the actual mandatory retirement system. So at least that was working in my favor. But it took a couple of years. And someone one day was telling me about how much they had saved in their 401k and the fact that the agency was actually, they weren't doing a dollar for dollar match, but they were making a contribution. And I was like, what are you talking about? You know, and so I went back to HR and then I started that journey. But one of the things that you said, I think is so important. When we don't know, we just don't know. And so I'm glad that we're able to have this conversation, that you've agreed to come and share with us so that at least during our time together, people can say, they can't say that I don't know that I don't know. You're going to provide some information that's going to help us on that journey. So can you just, I want you to just share what it is that you want to share with us, and then I'll come back later on with some questions, but I want to give you this time to just speak to us.
Okay, sounds good. And your story, I've heard a lot of times about when I sit down and talk to clients that they're on a job, they've got all these things coming out of their paycheck, but they don't know what it is, and 401k and 457 and 403b and all these different numbers. And a lot of them will make the decision that I can't afford that. I can't afford any more money coming out. And put on top of that, that the company is making some sort of match, what you're actually doing is turning down free money. So I'm always saying, really, you can't afford not to do that, especially if they're giving you money on top of what you're doing. The company understands that a lot of companies don't have pensions. So once you're out of here, Social Security and whatever money you save is going to sustain you unless you're going to work another job after you retire. So they're helping you by giving you some money. And so my goal is to sit down with a couple, with a client, and first of all, see, where are you? Where are you right now? So in order for me to get you to where you want to go, I have to first see where you are right now. So we'll have a conversation. I want to see what your mindset is. Are you even thinking right about money? A lot of times people, it's not really how much money you make, but it's how much money you keep. I've had clients that have made, husband and wife, they're making $120,000, $150,000 a year, which is decent, good money, but they're living paycheck to paycheck. And the reason is because they're on the wrong path. Their mindset is not right. And so my goal is to help them get off of that path that's leading to debt and frustration, and in some cases, divorce, and put them on a path to peace and prosperity. So I have to work with your mindset. I have to see where you are and do what I can to get you on the path on the right path to where it is that you want to go. Everybody's on a path. It's just a lot of times they're not on the path they want to be. And this book that I'm reading now, or I'm listening to by Pastor Andy Stanley, called The Principle of the Path, he makes a statement. It says it says direction and not intention is the way to get to your destination. So you can have the intention of wanting to do the right thing. You can decide, you can go to school, but if you're not in the right path, if you're not going down towards where you want to go, a lot of times you won't get there. So my goal is to help people do that. And like I said, we want to start with where you are. I like to build from where you are. Some clients have no clue, so we'll start from where you are. And some clients have some ideas about investments and savings and credit. So my goal is to figure out where you are and to help build you to where it is you need to go. It takes a little time. It doesn't happen overnight. There's not a one size fits all category for everybody I talk with. So I have to understand that it's going to take some time, and I need you to understand that as well. I'm not a mind reader. I'm not a miracle worker, but I am a guy that wants to help you get better. So once we have the conversation and I see where you are, look at your finances, then we're going to come up together with a plan to get you on the right path and making sure that you understand and that you're vested, that you're committed to doing this. Because just me setting up a plan for you, savings, investments, whatever it is, if you're not committed to that, it's not going to work. And I've seen that time and time again. And it frustrates me because I care. But what I've come to learn is that I can't want it more than you want it. So now I'm in a position now, if you really want this, I'll work with you. If it's not something you want, I don't really want to waste your time or mine. So I have to figure out that this is something you want, you're willing to commit to it, and you're willing to allow me to coach you or guide you along the way. Because I understand I can't make you do anything, but I can coach you, I can guide you. I want to be a resource for you. I want you to call me and say, hey, Darryl, I saw this, or hey, I got a promotion on my job, I got an extra $100. What can I do with that? Or somebody died and I got $10,000. Once you have a plan in place, then when these things happen, we can adjust and adapt the plan to where you are in your life. During the pandemic, some people lost their jobs. And I've always stated that you should always have an emergency fund set aside, 3 to 6 months worth of income set aside. So in case something like a pandemic or something else comes about, you can buy yourself some time until you can figure out how you're going to redirect your path. So that's really important to me to make sure people have a base understanding about how money works, and then that you got a plan of saving and getting out of debt at the same time. It's really important because debt is a cancer. Debt prevents a lot of people from realizing their goals and dreams. They're paying so much in debt. People have car payments that are $600-700 a month, and rent is going up. And there's a lot of things happening, and you can't stop that. Well, some of that stuff you can prevent. My goal is to help you see it in a way that you can see your way out of it. It may not happen overnight, but you got to put a plan in place. You got to be on the right path, and you have to have the right mindset. And it helps if you have somebody that's going to be a guide, that's going to be a coach alongside to help you on your journey. That's the key. I'm only going to help you as much as you allow me to help you. I'm not going to interfere, but I want to develop the relationship. This is a relationship business. I don't want it to be a transaction business. I want it to be where we're building a relationship, and I'm helping you get to the point of where you want to go.
And I see where one of our viewers, Ron, is just drawing a line under something that you said about having a plan of action is good. And the key word is a plan of action. And one of the things we've talked about is that we've got to want it. We've got to want to be on this path. And even as we may not understand all the steps on the path, we may not understand, how to get from A to Z. But when God places people like yourself and others on our path to give us the right information at the right time so that we can take that next right step, that's good. And I'm always reminded of the scripture that I have to use to motivate myself because, yes, I'm a person of faith, but the word also tells us that faith without action is dead. So the same thing is what I'm hearing from you, that we can have the desire, we can want to be in a different place in terms of our financial freedom and independence. But unless we, like they say, plan the work and work the plan, then we will find ourselves just stuck. And I also appreciate, Darryl, your inclusiveness of the type of people that you help, because you created a spectrum that whether you're starting here where you never heard of, the 401ks and 457s or whatever, a budget or whatever else, to you're over here, with diverse investments, and you're trying to figure out what's the next best step for you. For people to feel like you don't have to be, on this high-end spectrum to benefit from the type of services that you offer, I think it's something that I have a great appreciation for. And I'll just share the financial advisor that I have. One of the things that I respect so much about this person is they have these monthly meetups. We used to do them in person before, the pandemic. Now we do them virtually. Everybody gets an invitation. So I'm sitting next to the multimillionaire on one side, and it's like everybody's treated the same. Everybody's starting at the same base. You get the same food, the same information, the same opportunities to participate in, the activities that we're doing. And so for me, it's been encouraging to be around people where I don't have to pre-qualify to be at the table. My only pre-qualification is that I'm a client of this person's. And so I think as people come to those sessions and we're learning things, we're learning from the person who now is a multimillionaire, but that person may be in there anywhere from 60. The people that I've met have been in their, 60s to 70s. One lady is like 90 years old, literally, and is a multi-millionaire. But this lady was a school teacher. She retired from teaching school, but someone taught her what you're trying to teach us now at a very early age. And she said from day one of getting that teacher's job, she learned whatever she could learn at that time. She didn't have financial advice at first, to just take the baby steps. And so now she's able to contribute to things, to the community, to her family, to really make an influence on the communities that she served because of decision that she made, similar to the mindset tools that you have been trying to share with us.
Yeah, that's vitally important. It doesn't matter where you start; it really is where you end. And what you learn, if you learn early enough to get on the right path, and you learn about the financial tools where the financial literacy comes in, even if you don't have a coach or a guide, you can at least stumble in the right direction going towards where you want to go. And if you're open to learning, and I like that your financial advisor has a group where you guys can plug in and learn different things. We try to do webinars and things of that nature. And it's tough sometimes. People are so busy with, they have a webinar here and they have a Zoom. Once the pandemic hit and now we have all these online tools, there are so many things you can plug into on a daily basis. I have stuff in my industry that are talking about investments and what's the mindset and what's the Fed going to do and what's the outlook for next year. I just can't get on all of them because I'm trying to connect with my clients and do that. So there's a plethora of information that's available to you. I'm just trying to get people to this. Like I said, I'm meeting people where they are and helping guide them along the way. And I'll give them as much time and exposure as they're able to do. People have kids, they got soccer, they got church, they got trips. Just life continues to happen. Life does not stop happening. You just have to make your finances a priority in your life. You have to make time for this. Like anything else that you want, you have to make time for it. It can't just be, every now and then I'll touch upon it. I'm not saying you have to do something every day, but if you have a plan in place and we've got you on a path, yeah, we need to do a review quarterly, annually, or anytime you have a question, reach out to me. I want people to reach out to me. I prefer that. Now, I send out emails and send out literature and things of that nature. Some people respond, some people don't. Then I try to follow up with phone calls. I do what I can, but I'm not going to make you do anything. My goal is I'm here to help you, reach out to me, and I want to do everything I can to help you reach your goals and dreams.
And I want to speak a minute to the person who says, oh, I hear all that. That's some good information, but I'm just stuck in this place of a mindset of lack, a mindset of not even being able to see beyond the next step. Well, I want to encourage you that God tells us, I have not given you a spirit of fear, but of power and of a sound mind. And so I want you to be encouraged that I can only use my personal story, someone who grew up in a poverty community home, grew up on welfare, getting food stamps, sometimes not knowing where the next meal was going to come from, did not, again, grow up with anybody talking about anything dealing with finances, savings, none of that. So I want to encourage you, just begin where you are. Take advantage of the information that's being provided to you, whether it is this conversation or another conversation or an article or something that's, crosses your path that you can take advantage of to begin to learn. In 7 months, I will be, believe it or not, 60 years old. So I'm thinking about things a lot differently, Darryl, than I probably thought about, a few years ago, because it just dawned on me in 7 months, I'll be 60 years old. So I'm doing a lot of retrospective look backs at where my life has been, where do I want it to go forward, with an emphasis on living it forward. I'm not going back looking at when my budget failed and all that stuff, except for to identify places where it needs to influence my current behavior. But I want people to be in this guilt-free zone. Don't feel shame, don't feel embarrassment. What I like about people like you, Darryl, is that all the information is confidential. So you can actually go into a safe place and have this conversation. I want to also share with you, before Darryl is going to give us some key takeaways for you today, but I want to remind you that financial literacy is a biblical principle. The Bible has over 2,000 Bible verses about managing our finances that can guide your accountability for your financial stewardship. Proverbs 22:7-9 says, just as the rich rule the poor, so the borrower is servant to the lender. But I love all of this, but Deuteronomy 8:18 really stuck out for me. It says, remember the Lord your God. He is the one who gives you power to be successful in order to fulfill the covenant that he confirmed to your ancestors with an oath. So this is not just about you and I. This is about a lineage and a legacy of how do we want to make a difference now, and how do we want to make a difference when our time here on earth is over. And just remember, with all the good information that you're getting, this is a faith-centered principle community. And the speakers that I bring on here, that's the first box that we have to check off before they are on this platform. But saying that, I want to remind you that it is still God who gives us the power to be successful in life. And there's another word that I want to share, and I call this kingdom-minded dividends, because Darryl's been talking a lot about our being willing to make decisions. And so change is inevitable, but growth is intentional is a quote that I ran across. And the growth has to be intentional. Your financial literacy mindset has to be intentional. You have to take those steps. Ecclesiastes 5:19 says, and it is a good thing to receive wealth from God and the good health to enjoy it, to enjoy your work, the purpose for which God has called you, and to accept your lot, your purpose in life. This is indeed a gift from God. So, Darryl, share with us 3 key takeaways that you would want our audience of all the things that we've talked about. What is that? Where do you want them to land?
Well, Sheila, I like your quote there. I've used that same quote. It had a different word. It said, change is inevitable, but growth is really optional, because you don't have to grow, but it isn't, but it is intentional. So if you don't take the option to be intentional about growing, you won't. But the change is going to come, whether you do something about it or not. So I'm the guy that likes quotes, and that was a great quote. But first and foremost, you're right. God is the provider of everything we have. God is able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all that we can ask or think. I know that. I believe that. I believe in the sowing and reaping principle. I believe that you can't reap unless you sow. I believe that your hands have to be open to give and to receive. So we have to first and foremost acknowledge that God is the provider. All things are possible through him as we love him, and nothing bad will happen to us as long as we continue to lean on him, as long as we trust him with all our heart and lean not into our own understanding. In all these ways we acknowledge him, and he shall direct our paths. And see, my goal is to get you on the right path, and putting God first is definitely first and foremost. Some basic key fundamentals and takeaways is just simple. spend less than what you make. That's the first and foremost. When I talk to someone, I'm thinking, and I want to look at how much money you're making. And once we look at that, and then how much is going out. So if we can get that together, whereas if you're making 2,000 and you're spending 2,500, okay, we got a fundamental problem here. We've got to stop this leak. And a lot of times that's pretty tough. I might suggest you might have to turn off these luxury items. You might not can't have the cable TV, and you can't go out to lunch every day. Those are the hard sacrifices. And people nowadays, they don't want to sacrifice. Everything is instant. You can Google it, you can Instagram it, Instacart it. Everything is quick, fast. If you don't want to cook, you can DoorDash. I mean, it's just the mindset that we lived in. When I grew up, they didn't have credit cards. I remember my mother and them, we put stuff on layaway. So you put it on layaway and you had to make payments and you had to wait until you got it. But what that did, that kept you out of debt. And once you received the item, you owned it. Whereas now, if I want a 52, 82, 92-inch TV, I can go to Best Buy or anywhere and just get it and put little or nothing down, and I might have 6 months or a year to pay for it. But if I'm not on the right path and I let those months pass by, and all of a sudden, hey, that $2,500 is due now, and I don't have it, now I've got myself in the situation. So the goal is spend less than what you make, and then save a portion of what you're making. I tell people to start with, $10 a week, $25 a month. Start saving. It's amazing. Once you start saving, it becomes a habit. And the goal is for everything to become a habit to you. Savings becomes a habit. Staying out of debt becomes a habit. Learning more about finances and getting your mind in the game becomes a habit. You have to change. This is where the mindset comes in. I want you to change your mindset. You change your habits. And then you change the actions that start happening. And then you want to start associating with people that are where you want to be. Those saying, if you're the smartest person in your group, you need another group. If you're the richest person in your group, you need another group. You need to be challenged in order to change. And so you have to intentionally do these things. This is where the change is inevitable, but the growth is intentional, but it's also optional. You don't have to do that. You can stay where you are. But if you didn't like the last 5 years of your life and you've done nothing about it, what makes you think the next 5 years is going to be any different? Change is tough. Nobody likes change, but if you want to get something you've never had, you've got to be willing to do something you've never done. And that's what I'd like to share with you guys. Spend less than what you make, save a portion of what you've made, but also get more educated. Be around people that are doing what you want to do. Change your circle. You can't always change the people around you, but you can change the people around you, if you know what I mean. A lot of times if you stick in that circle of people who are broke, busted, and disgusted, you're going to be just like those people. You need to get around people that are moving forward, that are doing investments, that are talking about wealth, that are talking about finances, that are talking about real estate, investment, just different things. You need to be in that room. You need to be in that circle. That way, your mind, like I said, exposure equals expansion. Once you're exposed to different people and different ideas, now your mind starts to expand. Now you start to, like myself, you start to seek and hunger after different things, and you intentionally want to grow. So hope that wasn't too convoluted, but that's what I want to leave people with.
No, I think it was just a perfect place for us to land. Darryl, first of all, I want to thank you so much for agreeing to be a guest here at Life Purpose by Design. Thank you for all of the wisdom, keys, and nuggets that you have given us. And one of the things that I just want to remind everyone of this is that there comes a point in time, and I'm speaking to myself as I'm speaking to you, that we have to accept responsibility for the decisions that we make or that we fail to make. And so I hope that this conversation with Darryl Wright, financial advisor, as well as a financial literacy advocate, and his passion for helping others to be a guide on your chosen path your chosen path to financial freedom and independence has been not only informative, but it's been something that will give you some momentum to evaluate where you are and where you want to go. I want to close out with a scripture that I was meditating on today. It's Luke chapter 14, verse 28 through 30. And I want to offer this to you as food for thought. For which of you desiring to build a tower does not first sit down and count the costs, whether he has enough to complete it? Otherwise, when he has laid a foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it begin to mock him, saying, this man began to build but was not able to finish it. Our conversation today, financial literacy mindsets, has been designed to help give you some tools to consider the cost for the foundation that you're building for your personal financial independence, for that of your family, for that of your community, and for your world influence. I pray that you will take the information and the resources that have been provided today, and that it will help navigate you on that path of financial literacy mindset so that you can experience the financial freedom and life success that God has purposed by design. Thank you for joining us here at Life Purpose by Design. I'm looking so forward to everything that 2023 is going to bring forward on Life Purpose by Design as we reach out to empower you to live your best life forward with clarity, with confidence, and with a commitment to excellence. Be blessed. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. And we will see you in 2023 here at Life Purpose by Design.